Hello everyone, Godre here, and this is Follow the Money brought to you by Nairametrics. Of course, we do this every Monday on our YouTube channel. All you just need to do is go to Nairametrics TV on YouTube, and you can get this episode or any of our previous episodes. This is a special Follow the Money podcast today because I'm going to be talking about hot stocks. Yep, I haven't done that in a while. So I'm going to be going through the top 10 stocks for the month of May. That's the hottest stocks in Nigeria. The month of May. We're still like a week into June, and it's looking like June is following from the rally that we had in May. In May alone, stocks gained a whopping 5.6%. In 1 month, or I didn't say like in one whole month, 5.6%. Year to date, of course, stocks are up about 8 point something percent in May. And it's looking like we're already on 11.36% year to date in June. We just finished the first week of June. So looking like Nigerian stocks are on a roll. And this will not be happening if it's not for the 10 hot stocks that I'm about to break down. So you need to find out if any of these stocks are in your portfolio. If they're not in your portfolio, you might want to listen to know if it's too late or if there's still time for you to buy any of the stocks, or perhaps consider putting them in your portfolio. So we start from the bottom and all the way to the top. So the first stock that has done pretty well in the month of May is ABC Transport. ABC Transport Limited, I beg your pardon. So ABC Transport gained 43% month to date in May. 43% in 1 month alone. And for those who know ABC Transport, it's a transport company in Nigeria that basically moves people from one point of the country to the other. And they're also engaging in all other services as well. They engage in haulage, and they engage in cargo services. And they also have a shuttle service as well. It's been a very difficult period for ABC over the last few years. Of course, 2014, 2013, 2023. What's wrong with me today? 2023, a lot of companies did also face challenges and they posted massive losses. But things appear to have reversed in 2024 with the company posting a profit of 352 million naira in the first quarter of 2025 alone. That is a reverse from the 20 million loss it posted in the first quarter of 2024. The company also ended the year 2024 in positive territory, posting a profit as well. Now, what is interesting is that ABC Transport operates on a very thin margin, and it makes money from a number of divisions. It's one of those companies that has a lot of divisions. It has cargo. It has this coach services. I mean, you all remember those ABC buses back then, still there, but it's heavily out competed these days. It has a shuttle business, and then it also has I think I mentioned haulage and cargo. Cargo is one of its major business. So for ABC to sustain the profit levels that it's doing this year, it will need to show profits in, at least margins need to improve in its cargo, haulage, and guess what? It's trading, trucking, and spare parts businesses. Those were the major drivers of profit last year and the major drivers of profit in the first quarter of this year. So, but ABC Transport is trading at a pricey 7.7 times price to earnings ratio as when I'm recording this. So that's pretty expensive if you compare them to a whole lot of other companies out there that have, that are more liquid. When I talk about liquidity, I'm talking about stocks that are very liquid. So 7.7x. But if you look at it in a broader index, might be cheap, but I think it's a little bit expensive now. The next stock is one of my favorites, and one stock that you all know that at least everybody has their product on their breakfast table, one of their products on the breakfast table, and that is Nestle Nigeria PLC. Nestle had a very, very rough last 2-3 years. My God, ballooning losses that basically wiped out his net assets. But Nestle is one of those recovery stories that we're tracking. from falling to as low as 600 plus or so in terms of its share price, or maybe I think it was probably 700 or thereabout. Yeah, in terms of the share price last year, Nestle is now trading at a whopping 1,590 naira per share, and is up 44.6% in the month of May alone. Now, this is a stock that started the month at about 1,100 naira, and it's gained. I recall talking about Nestle in my personal blog. If you're not following ftm.ng, it's a subscriber-only blog. You want to go there and see some of the stocks that I'm recommending. And these stocks have been doing pretty well over the last few months since I started. And Nestle was one of those stocks I talked about. I think I've also talked about Nestle on this show. Nestle is up 44.6% in 1 month alone. Now, why is it happening? Well, the rally is also, basically fueled by a lot of positive vibes that we're getting in the consumer goods sector. Here's something that we've also kind of noticed. Because of the exchange rate devaluation that's happened in the last 2 years, and the fact that we have like a free market now where, well, something close to a free market, a lot of importers are struggling now to compete with local manufacturers that have very good substitutes. Because before now, what was happening is that you just have people go outside the country, import all sorts of stuff, and start to compete with the local market. So, but the local market now can compete better because everybody's basically on an even playing field. And so it's easier to compete with these guys. And so that's why we're seeing the likes of Nestle, Cadbury, Boa Foods doing pretty well now, because market penetration is a lot better for their products. And they seem to be able to price their products very well, and that is helping boost margins. So no surprises here that in the first quarter, the company reported a pre-tax profit of 51.1 billion naira. Now, this is a huge reversal from a pre-tax loss of 196 billion naira the same period last year. Imagine in 1 quarter, a 196 billion naira loss. So now Nestle is back to profitability with 51 billion naira. And this, again, was largely due to reduction in its finance expenses, because the year before, Nestle was taking in huge losses due to exchange rate devaluation. But now that that is basically out of the way, it looks like their balance sheet is getting a lot better. So Nestle up 44.6%, but that stock is pricey, like super pricey. I was looking at this price to earnings ratio, and something tells me maybe there's an error somewhere, but it's looking like it's over 100 times his earnings. Of course, I guess if you do, because earnings is usually, price to earnings ratio is usually the market price of the stock divided by its trailing 12 months earnings. So if you look at the Q2 2024 to Q1 2025, you probably would have a very minute earnings per share. But investors don't really care, because investors are looking at what is coming for Nestle. They think that Nestle is going to have a very good year, and so they're already pricing that into the share price of the stock. And I think there's also feelers that Nestle might need to raise capital at some point. And so that is also perhaps driving the share price higher than it currently is. I don't think Nestle is one of those stocks that you want to get into at the moment. I really doubt it, because it's very expensive. So if you did not buy Nestle when we recommended it or when we talked about it earlier in the year, this one seems to have just like flown past you. All right, so we go to the next stock that is one of the hottest stocks in Nigeria at the moment, and that's Champions Breweries. Champion Breweries also up 44%, 44.7%. In fact, it looks as if the bottom three have been up like 40-something percent this year. Champions Breweries currently trading at 7 naira 70 kobo. The stock went from 4 naira 70 kobo to 6 naira 80 kobo in May. And already looks like it's even trading more than that year to date, because it's at 7 naira 70 kobo at the moment. So what's driving Champions Breweries? Champions Breweries also recorded a pre-tax profit of 1.7 billion in Q1 2025, compared to a loss of 798 million the previous period a year ago. And it also more than doubled its revenue from 4.3 billion to about 8.4 billion in the first quarter of 2025. So Champions Breweries operates mostly in the southern parts of Nigeria. They sell beer just like Nigerian breweries or international breweries, but they operate mostly, in southern parts of Nigeria, and they have a very huge market there that they play in. People are very familiar with their products in that region. But it's been very tough for the company over the years because of course, dwindling purchasing power of Nigerians. So Nigerians couldn't really afford beer that much. There was also a lot of substitutes. But just like Nigerian breweries and Guinness, it looks like beer companies seem to be turning things around. Same thing I mentioned about Nestle as well. So it looks like we're seeing some positive direction here for Champions Breweries. But you see, Champion Breweries is one stock that I used to teach myself a very huge lesson. Yes. The last time Champion Breweries was trading anywhere around 7 naira was in 2014. Yeah, I bought it at that price then. And then I saw the stock go all the way down to less than 2 naira per share. Yeah. So I held that stock for long because it was a lesson to me not to buy stocks out of impulse, buy stocks based on fundamentals. And for Champions Breweries, the fundamentals are good, but it seems a little pricey to me. The price to earnings ratio is 26 times its earnings. So the price is trading at 26 times earnings per share. That's pretty expensive. But if you look at other breweries companies, they seem to be trading around this region at the moment. But it's just expensive for now. So if you're a value investor like I am, you might think this is pretty pricey at the moment. Now, the next stock that's 7th on the list is University Press. Now, University Press, they publish books for companies and distribute books as well. It's been trading for a long time on the exchange. Not one of those very liquid stocks. It's one of those stocks we like called penny stocks because it trades at under 10 naira per share. Currently trading at 5 naira, 80 kobo per share. University Press has gained 57.8% this month, beg your pardon, in May alone. And so what's driving this rally? Well, just like the other ones, it has also posted a profit from a loss. Are you guys noticing a pattern? If you notice this pattern, you see that a lot of companies that posted a loss in 2023, 2024 appear to be posting profits now. So it's probably not trickling down to your pockets at the moment, but you see the way reforms happen is that companies tend to do better at first before it starts to trickle down into like the public, into most of us. And we're seeing that with a lot of these companies. So University Press also reported a pre-tax profit of 639 million in the Q4. So I think the company does this year in April, something like that. So March to April. So Q4 numbers, which is not fully out yet, the audited account is not fully out yet, but its Q4 numbers alone was 639 million in pre-tax profit, and compared to a loss of 222 million same period last year. So again, that seems to be the major driver for University Press, and it's currently trading at 5.80 kobo per share. As at end of May, it was trading at around 5.90 kobo per share. So it's lost a little bit, but still going strong. Now, its price to earnings ratio is 6.2x. Looks cheap, but the problem I have with University Press is liquidity. So if you buy this stock, are you going to be able to sell whenever you want to sell? That's something that you have to consider whenever you want to buy shares. Now, number 6 on my list is Honeywell Flour Mills. Honeywell Flour Mills was up 61.5% in May alone. Yep. And it's trading at 11.1x. Again, it's expensive, I think. This is just me personally. I don't like buying stocks that are trading at more than 10 times their earnings. I just kind of think they're expensive, especially in Nigeria. But for a lot of people, I mean, it's relative, right? There are other things that you might want to check. But what's going well for Honeywell's is numbers. So pre-tax profit was 21.39 billion for its year end, which was 348% higher than what it did the year before. And of course, revenue also basically doubled from 188 billion to 373 billion in 1 year. So you can see that a lot of Nigerian companies appear to be doing well, even though there's so much, challenges in the economy. So these guys also grew their revenues, and it wasn't just price. They were also able to move volumes as well. So share price currently trading at 20 naira 50 kobo, up 61% in May alone. So making it one of the top performing stocks. Of course, it ended May at 21 naira, but currently at 20 naira 50 kobo. So one of the best performing stocks for the month of May. So there goes the bottom 5 best performing stocks, hottest stocks in Nigeria for the month of May. Now, when we're back, we're going to talk about the top 5 best performing stocks for the month of May 2025. Be right back. All right, welcome back. This is Follow the Money, brought to you by Nairametrics. Of course, we do this every Monday on this channel. New episodes pop every Monday, so you want to turn on your notifications so you don't miss out. This particular episode, I'm talking about the hottest stocks in Nigeria for the month of May. Hottest stocks, and like the stocks that basically are driving numbers. And you want to know if the top 5, I've already given you the first half, which is the 6 to 10. Now I'm giving you top 5, 1 to 5 best performing stocks month of May. Now, number 5 on the list is one stock I really like following, and this stock is into logistics as well. And haulage, they basically help you move parcels, goods from one part of the country to another. And they've been in existence for years, and they've been listed on the Nigerian exchange. That stock is called Red Star Express. So Red Star Express PLC up 64.8% on the month of May. Share price is currently at 8 naira 35 kobo. It did close May at 8 naira 32 kobo, so it looks like it's done slightly better. This is one of the best performing stocks, at least within its own subsector. Now, most of its gains happened towards the end of May when it broke a resistance level of 7 naira per share. But the major driver for Red Star appears to also be its fundamentals. Revenue went from 16 billion to 21.6 billion for the period ended March 2025. Pre-tax profit also surged to 542 million, from 542 million to about 950 or so, 948 million year to date or that for that year. Now, it's a very thin margin business, as you can see. I mean, like you're only able to eke out less than 1 billion naira in profit from 21 billion in revenue. Very low margin business. But it did eke out profit, and shareholders seem to like what they are seeing. And they've rewarded this stock with a 64.8% pop in the month of May alone. In terms of price to earnings ratio, is at 12.7x. So it's already gone past, my own preference in terms of what I want to buy. Now, while this stock is a very good stock to have in your portfolio, it does have liquidity challenges. So you want to be careful with liquidity as well. You know what? If you're one of earliest followers of my recommendations back in 2021, 2022, you probably would have had this stock in your portfolio. You probably would have been doing like 300% by now. So, but again, this is one stock that doesn't really have a lot of liquidity. So be careful when you're buying it. Know that you're buying it at a very low price so that you can exit whenever you want to without much hassles. Now, the next stock is also similar in terms of liquidity. It's also a penny stock, but appears to have been doing well this year. And it's one stock that I'm watching close. I'm trying to find out what exactly is driving this performance that I'm seeing. And that stock is Academy Press. It's also in the publishing business, just like University Press that I mentioned earlier. And it's basically the best performer in that section, making it the 4th best stock in Nigeria at the moment. And it gained 65.5% return, trading at about 4.75 kobo per share. Now, this rally appears to have been followed by another strong performance in the first quarter, ending March. This guy seems to be ending, like most of them have their year end March. And it showed a pre-tax profit of 1.2 billion, 439% higher than what it did the year before. So very strong performance from the stock. And that may have been why a lot of investors were attracted to it. But here's what's interesting about Academy Press. Its price to earnings ratio is 2.9x. I had to do a double take on that. That is way cheap and within buy now territory. But I'm going to be doing a lot more deep dive because, I mean, it's one thing to have a very good 2.9%, 2.9x price to earnings ratio, but we have to check a whole number of other things as well. Liquidity of the stock, the fundamentals as well. So you might want to read the next episode of my Follow the Money blog and see whether I'm going to be buying or holding Academy Press or maybe selling, even though I don't have that stock in my portfolio at the moment. But of course, it's just an analysis that I'm doing. But this is one stock that is firmly in my radar and one of the best performers over the last month or so. Now, number 3 on my list is the only stock that is doing well in the aviation sector, even though I think they like to see themselves as oil and gas or services. It is Caverton Helicopters, or Caverton Offshore Support Group, as they are named on the NGX. Now, Caverton is up 73% in the month of May alone. Imagine 73. Imagine if you bought the stock early in May, you've made 73% in 1 month alone, and it's trading at about 4 naira 7 kobo per share at the moment. And so this stock basically driven by a slew of news, apart from the fact that its numbers are up. Pre-tax profit was up 1.6 billion from a loss of 1.8 billion in Q1 2024. So in the first quarter of this year alone, it's done 1.6 billion in profit. Hugely profitable company based on those numbers. Could go on to make profits this year. And remember, Caverton operates, most of their customers are oil and gas companies. And so when oil and gas companies are doing very well, if business is booming, Caverton seems to also do pretty well. I know there's a little bit of headwind with oil prices going down, but a lot of Nigerian companies are beginning to see production numbers ramp up. And if production numbers ramp up, then it means they need services of helicopter companies like Caverton to move, goods and people around. And so it looks like the company's business is likely to grow. Now, besides that, there was also a major news during the year as well. The company said that its marine business entered a strategic JV with the NNPC or NNPL, as they're called these days, and a Swedish global shipping giant called Stena Borg to launch, Unity Shipping worldwide. The agreement was formalized in April, and so I think investors kind of like that. You can read a bit more about that on Nairametrics, because this basically is going to put Caverton as a key player in the global energy logistics business. You see that? Global energy logistics, that's basically being able to move things around. So it appears that they're now going from, being in control of air support services, and they're now going into the marine space as well. So solid for some of his investors, and they seem to like what they see. And that's why you're seeing them reward this company with a 73.6% pop in returns. In terms of price to earnings ratio, nothing yet, because they did report a mega loss last year. And so there's no PE ratio. But this is also one company that is now on my radar. A little bit pricey now because 73.6%, I don't know how they're going to top that. But I've seen stocks top, and you will see that very soon in my number 1 pick, or the number 1 best performing stocks. As in, it just keeps adding and adding. But before that, we go to the penultimate number 2. Number 2 best performing stocks in Nigeria at the moment is Northern Nigeria Flour Mills, another flour mill company that is not as big as maybe Dangote Flour Mills or Honeywell Flour Mills or the flour mills of Nigeria that used to be listed on the exchange that is no more listed. But this particular company, gained 85% in the month of May, and currently trading at 125 naira. So it's taking a dip because at the end of May, it was trading at 138 naira 9 kobo per share, but it's dipped a bit to 125 naira. Still pretty high. Price to earnings ratio a little bit pricey at 12.8x. But what's the reason why it's doing well? Well, again, it's profit. So pre-tax profit has gone to 2.3 billion, from 2.3 billion to 2.8 billion. In this full year numbers, while revenue also went from 25 billion to 35 billion as well. So investors kind of like that. But I was actually surprised though, because they did announce a dividend of 25 kobo per share, which was kind of small compared to its share price. But, this is also another stock that has liquidity issues. Not a lot of stocks out there for you to buy or sell. So you got to be careful when you're buying this stock. But it was the second best performer in May and the second hottest stocks in May. So drum roll, who was the hottest stock, or which stock was the hottest for the month of May? That prize goes to none other than Better Glass. One of the best stocks, one of my favorite stocks on the NGX. I know it has liquidity issues. I know, but I have been liking Better Glass. I own the stocks as well. I started buying Better Glass when it was trading at 30 something. No, when it was about 12 naira or so per share. At that time, I kind of felt like it should be trading at about 30 something naira, and it did hit that number. It had a lull for years, for the last 5-6 years or so, trading at slightly under 50, 40 naira per share. But all of a sudden, Better Glass is picking up very well. Now, understand that Better Glass does business for bottling companies. So they provide bottling services for beer businesses and most businesses that are in the bottling business. And they also provide caps that you use to cover bottles. And so that's their business. And when that business is booming, Better Glass also seems to boom as well. And so no surprises, Better Glass gained a whopping 133% in the month of May alone, currently trading at 232 naira per share. About the same price that it closed in May. And guess what? Better Glass is trading at a cheap. Yes, it's cheap. 6.3 times its earnings. That is cheap. The only problem is whether if you buy this stock, whether you can even get it to buy at maybe the sort of volume that you want to make sizable profit for you. And even when you buy it, whether you'll be able to sell is another thing. But that doesn't negate the fact that the company's fundamentals are solid. Revenue soared to 41.1 billion, a 69.3% increase in the first quarter of the year, while its pre-tax profit was also up 638% to 15.2 billion naira. So solid numbers, and investors are loving it. The only problem I have with Better Glass is that their dividend can be pretty small sometimes. Dividend yield is really small. But if you're looking at a company that has very solid fundamentals, that is solid in terms of numbers, then Better Glass is a very resilient company. I'm actually surprised they are still listed because the majority owned by Frigo Glass, one of the largest glass-making companies in the world. They own majority shares in Better Glass, and Better Glass has been listed for some years now. So, but it's just not liquid enough, and you kind of feel like this stock has potential to do a lot more than it's currently doing. They have also tried to diversify it a little bit, so interesting to see how well they do this year. But Better Glass has been on our radar on Nairametrics. It's one of our stocks in our portfolio on FTM. And so if you didn't buy Better Glass when we recommended it, too bad. It's still out there, still looks cheap at 6.3x. I just don't know if you will get the sort of return that the people who bought earlier have already gotten now. So that's the thing. But at 6 times earnings, with the sort of fundamentals I'm seeing, it looks like a very, very solid stock. Liquidity, of course, remains the problem, and we'll see whether there's a lot more shares for people to buy. But this has been the top 10 best performing stocks in Nigeria for the month of May. And I dare say at the moment, how many of these stocks were in your portfolio? Let us know in the comment section. This is Follow the Money, brought to you by Nairametrics. And I'm signing out. Until we do this again, do have a profitable day ahead. Goodbye.